Hey guys, Scott Fishman here. Today we have a great guest built on the success of Wrestlers, which as you can currently see on Netflix. It's really an incredible show. She is a former OVW women's champion. You can also catch her on All Elite Wrestling and Ring of Honor, all over the place. Leila Gray, how are you today?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. So tell me kind of what's been the response? I mean, when you see a wrestling documentary, you're not sure how this is going to come out. Is the proper respect going to be told? Is the right people going to help tell this story? Because it's a very unique business. And I think a lot of people can relate to each story, each person. So
Yeah.
what kind of response have you gotten with this platform that for independent wrestling?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have gotten an amazing response for wrestlers on Netflix. I feel like mainly because we've reached an audience past just the wrestling audience. I feel like we're able to capture more of a general audience. I've been reading all the tweets and everything that people have been saying about the show, and so many people are saying, I'm not even a wrestling fan and I can't get enough of this show, or I stopped watching wrestling 20 years ago, and this show brought me back to watching wrestling. And I mean, that's just amazing to hear that we're bringing in a new audience and introducing them or reintroducing them to wrestling. And hopefully they'll start watching everything else that's happening today in wrestling.
Talk about your journey. Was there something that you watched that inspired you? Like there might be someone at home that's going to be watching this documentary and seeing your story or Haley J's story and kind of relating to it, a little girl at home. For that, who was that for you?
I mean, I have my story with wrestling is a little different because I got into wrestling later on in life. I didn't really grow up with it like that. I discovered my passion for wrestling, but I did watch a little bit as a child when I was first introduced to wrestling, and I really gravitated towards China. I thought that she was just incredible to watch, and I just loved how badass and muscular she was, and she can fight the men. And I feel like she still continues to inspire me today because I mean, recently I'm starting a new journey in bodybuilding, and I mean, she's definitely someone that I look up to. I want to be strong and, you know, kick butt just like her.
One thing that I love about OVW that it provides a weekly outlet for emerging talent, young talent to really get their reps in, which is very important, especially for television. Like it's getting those reps in for television. How would you say OVW kind of has helped you, as you're working with AEW and millions of people are watching, or in all these different environments, learning to adapt, learning to cut promos,
Yeah.
character development. How would you say how OVW kind of helped you as you're working with AEW and Ring of Honor and other promotions?
OVW has been extremely beneficial in terms of my development. It practice the backstage promos. We practice working with time cues, and OVW is teaching me how to be a star and how to do all these things so that when the time comes in AEW, I am ready for it. And OVW and as Al Snow specifically has helped me so much in breaking out of my shell and really finding myself and my character. And I mean, I feel like I've been in general just been able to gain more of a voice in wrestling because of OVW.
Um, as far as like when it comes to what is your kind of current deal or what kind of agreement do you have with AEW? Still working independence as well, but as far as being a regular on their show as well.
Well, with AEW, I am signed full time with them. So it's a multi-year contract. So right now, I mean, I've been doing most of my work with Ring of Honor, and I've been loving that because there I am able to get my reps in and establish myself more, and being in Ring of Honor has been a lot of fun. So it's great that we get to do a little cross promotion between the two. I really love that. But yeah, as for now, I'm there, guys. I'm there for the next few years.
A lot of questions, about the future with Jade Cargill, but that was a very important time for you being a baddie. What did that kind of time mean to you? Was it like working with her, and Kira?
I mean, the time working with the baddies and working with Jade Cargill, it was really life changing. When people ask me my favorite match, I always mention the one with Jade at Blood and Guts, because that was the one that established me being a baddie, and that was like the match that started it all. So it was definitely a very, very special time in my life. That's when I felt like everything was going right. And I mean, being alongside Jade and, such a mega star, getting all this TV time, it was so beneficial to me and what I was doing on the indies. And I feel like I've learned a lot working with her and working with the other girls as well. It's definitely something that I hold very dear. I wish we could have done more with the baddies. I feel like we could have. But I wish Jade Cargo all the best in anything that she does. So
But you have your group in OVW as well, the Holy Trinity. Tell me about the formation of that, and if we're ever going to
yes.
see them on like an AEW show or a Ring of Honor show.
So, I mean, unfortunately, we had to change our name and we're calling ourselves the Bad Girls Club because we're on a Christian network. So, yeah, so
That's hilarious.
Al Snow is like, I don't want no hate. I don't want no hate. So we're like, okay, so we're the Bad Girls Club now. So yeah, we're establishing our own trios there. And I mean, we've been making waves. People are loving it. The team of me, Tiffany Nieves, and Jada Stone. I think we're dominating the women's division right now. So I'm excited to see what else we do with it. Like in my head, I'm kind of like thinking of it as like the baddies, but like, let's see what else we can do with it. What the
Awesome.
baddies could have been.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. You never know. And then you definitely have that experience to be at the forefront. But it's interesting because you started like right after COVID, like part of the COVID era, and that was kind of the learning experience. I mean, how was that kind of easing from that kind of situation to working in more bigger crowds?
Well, yeah, I started in the COVID era. So by the time I made my debut, it was October of 2020. So everything was pretty much like shut down. We were able to have like a little show, and it was in front of like 8 people. So for the first few months when I made my debut and I was doing shows, it was in front of really small crowds like that, 10 people. And I feel like that I was able to kind of ease into it because I mean, it was so nerve-wracking, and this is a whole new experience. And now you're performing and wrestling and doing all of this. So I feel like it definitely helped me at first, performing in front of the small crowds. And, I started doing AEW shortly after, probably a few months later. And that was when we were at Daly's place. And that was where the extras, we were also in the crowd and we were, cheering on everybody and stuff. So still performing in front of small crowds. And I think my God, we did a show in Miami in the summer of 21. I can't remember the exact date, but I wrestled Red Velvet. And I think that was my first show in front of a large crowd ever.
Wow.
And it was definitely different, but it was better because I mean, you get to feel the energy from the crowd, and you're not as like shy. Like I feel like the people, like they pump you up. Like when they're like cheering for you and stuff, and the baby faces, oh, come on, come on. Like that's real. It's real. They really hype you up.
Right. Who has helped you in backstage at AEW a lot? I mean, you have Madison Rain there, a lot of veterans, who have, someone that you've kind of taken you under their wing.
Um, there's people that I love to talk to for advice. For example, like Jerry Lynn is great. He's somebody that I feel comfortable speaking to. Um, there's a few others. Tony Schiavone has also been fantastic, and Mark Henry, Chris Jericho as well. Like there are people that I have like reached out to when I need advice or I need help with stuff. They are amazing mentors, I would say. Um, Yeah, so I would say those are like the main people that I go to. Madison, of course, is great in the women's locker room. She's so sweet, super helpful. She is also somebody, it's funny that you mentioned her. She's also somebody that I've gone to. She gives me great ideas for my character. So, yeah, she's very creative and fantastic. So she's definitely someone I go to for advice as well.
Okay. I mean, it seems like all these life-changing events have been happening in such a short amount of time. I mean, when this show is being filmed, certified Luke Curtis and yourself got engaged. So
We
how is
did.
that kind of having that moment kind of captured? And talk about just the relationship of having someone, a fellow wrestler who kind of knows what you're going through. I'm not sure if when you broke into the business, you thought you were going to meet your soulmate, your other person, but take me through that a little bit.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's fantastic that we have our engagement captured on Netflix. We are forever immortalized now on the platform. And I think there's something super, super cool about that. As for me and certified Lou Curtis, a lot of people don't know, but we actually got together before we started wrestling. When I met him, I was a bartender. He was a mechanic doing commercial air conditioning. And that's how we met. And, we started dating. And I brought this idea to him about wanting to become a pro wrestler. I actually had no idea that he had a background in wrestling and in school, like growing up as a kid and stuff. But pro wrestling was a whole different ball game. And at first he was kind of like, I don't know. He thought it was a little lame at first. But then I dragged him to a training class. He was obsessed from day one. He's like, I'm going into WWE. And ever since that, we've just been on this journey together. We've been through a lot. In the show, I briefly mentioned, times when we've slept in the car and stuff. Like things were really, really rough, especially around that time when I first started doing the AEW Darks around 2021. Like my pockets were so empty. It was just such a struggle. And were working so hard to try to get our names out there. We were driving on our own dime from Miami to Texas to try to meet Jazz and just like try to get opportunities. So like we're doing all this thing. We have no money. It was such a struggle. And then, now I look back and I mean, the journey was great. But I mean, we're in a way better place now, and so blessed to see that.
Yeah, firm believer everything happens for a reason. And when you reach a point where, on days maybe you're like, is this worth it? And then something just comes along that kind of reminds you of maybe a fan coming up to you, something. So I'm sure that's happened to you more than once through your experience and saying what they
Yeah,
mean.
absolutely. Fans will write sweet messages. Fans bring me gifts. Fans, I love to speak to the fans at signings, and they always just tell me such beautiful things about how I inspire them and I motivate them. And I mean, that inspires me to keep going. So it's a two-way street.
From the stories that we heard from on wrestlers, who would you say AEW should recruit or scout, from your standpoint? Is there anyone that you think that you should be like, Tony, you need to take a look at this person?
Well, Tony should definitely take a look at certified Luke Curtis first and foremost, because extremely talented in the ring, on the promos, and he's the best dressed. Also Hollywood Haley J. She is, taking the world by storm. She's blowing up right now, and I think this is a good time to snatch her up. She's fire in the ring and the promos, and I mean, I'm glad that me and Haley got to be dance partners in the Netflix series. We have a lot of great matches together, and I feel like I learned a lot working with her. So she'd definitely be a good pickup for AEW.
Lastly, just kind of what are your thoughts on the women's division right now in AEW? I think this is a prime opportunity for some new faces like yourself to kind of be at the forefront. And Diamante is another fellow South Florida person that I think of as well. Red Velvet as well. So I feel like there's a lot of young talent just waiting for that one opportunity. So whether it's Ring of Honor or AEW, what's the feeling in the locker room right now?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody is just waiting for the opportunity. And, wrestling, it comes in waves. Sometimes you're at the top, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're on TV weekly, and then there's moments that creatively there's nothing for you and you're not on TV. So, but the important thing is to not get discouraged. But yes, like you mentioned, this is a very important time for our women's division. It seems like there's spots opening up and things are happening. So we'll see how things play out in the next couple months. But I'm really happy to see other faces getting opportunities. Like I love that I'm seeing more of Diamante, and she's tagging with Mercedes Martinez. Like I think that's super cool, and I would love to see more women tagging together. That's actually something that I hope for in AEW, women tag titles. So I feel like we're pretty optimistic for the future in the locker room. The atmosphere is positive, so let's see what happens. Hopefully more time for the ladies, and we start seeing some new faces out there.
Amen. Why don't you let people know, of course, AEW all over television. We have Dynamite on Wednesday nights. We have Rampage, Collision, all the online content. Ring of Honor, also a Ring of Honor Club. And then, of course, OVW, want to get that plug in there. Thursday nights at 7 p.m. You can catch it on Fight TV, among other outlets. But anything that you want to let people know about for yourself, some things that you're doing, you don't mention the bodybuilding, but other ways they could follow you, and anything else that you want to mention.
Yes, absolutely, guys. I'd love for you to follow my journey and keep in touch with me. Please follow me on social media. Very active on all my platforms, mostly Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My handle is Miss Leila Gray, MISS_Leila Gray. I'm also on Cameo, guys. So I love to make some personalized messages for all of you. And we can text on the app. So if you want to chat with Leila Gray, hit me up. Also, just opened up my Big Cartel shop. If you guys want any 8x10s, trading cards, kiss cards, and I have some limited edition t-shirts up on the website right now. The links are in my bio, guys.
Wow. So many ways for wrestlers to kind of get the word. It's 5 years ago, it wasn't even like this. So it's incredible.
I know. Now there's so many ways to hustle now. Like it's fantastic.
Yes. And then also fans, definitely check out Wrestlers. It's an incredible show. Like you said, for non-fans and fans to kind of check out what the sacrifices and the dues paid and everything that goes into what we see on television each week. So definitely check that out as well. Thank you, Leila Gray, for the time. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you, and congratulations on all your success. Looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you so much. Great speaking to you too.